We'll go ahead and start this morning, talk a little bit about our admissions. Tomorrow we're opening up all of our state parks. We're pretty excited to have everybody come back into parks. Our rangers are really looking forward to having some energy inside parks again. But we haven't been sitting idly by this last month. For the last month, I hope you've had an opportunity to tune in to some of this Facebook Live events. I think we've done Facebook Lives all around the state, and if you've been tuning in, you've had the opportunity to release a diamondback terrapin, to tie a fly, catch a fish off of a Myrtle Beach State Park pier. Maybe you've gone on a camp out and heard some historic stories read. You've toured some of our historic plantations at Red Cliff and Rose Hill. You've seen some of the gardens at Andrew Jackson or at Charlestown Landing. I've been really proud of the way your team has stepped up over the last month to provide you your state park fix. I've enjoyed it as well as we've been working from home. So now we're going to talk about tomorrow and what tomorrow is going to look like. So the last week, we've shifted our responsibilities. The park staff behind the scenes has been working for the last month, doing painting projects and cutting down trees and working on facilities. But the last week we've been getting ready for you. We've been preparing for you to come and enjoy the parks again. And I want to tell you a little bit about what we've done, because when parks open tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit different. So I want to tell you a little bit about what you can expect, some of the things that we've done, as well as some of the things we need from you. You may notice as I'm going along, I do have an earpiece in. I've got my producer in my ear right now. So if you have questions, you can type them into the sidebar. Our social media team is working on compiling them, and at the end, we'll try to answer some of the questions as they come in. But if you're in the comments now and you have a chance, give a great shout out to our social media team. Gwen and Jordan have, as you know, worked diligently this month to keep everybody informed and engaged on our social media channels, and they've really made us all proud. So tomorrow, as you get ready to come to park, I need you to do a couple things before you even get in your car. First, if you're sick, please don't visit us at the park. Stay at home for our staff's sake and our other visitors as well. Second, if you're not a park passport holder, consider paying your admissions online. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we get into this program today. Third, come prepared. So if you're coming to the state park, we ask that maybe you bring some of your own hand sanitizer, a water bottle, and some sort of face covering for when you interact with staff. And use the restroom before you come to the park. And finally, try to go to a park that's close by to you. Now's not the time to venture across the state only to find out that the park you really wanted to get into isn't going to be open on that day. So some of the differences you're going to see in the coming days. So parks are used to talking about carrying capacities. When we talk about carrying capacities at parks, it's typically referring to one of two things, either a physical carrying capacity or a social carrying capacity. Physical carrying capacity is pretty easy to wrap your head around. And when you're in a building, maybe the fire marshal says you can only have 80 people in that building. For parks, it talks about infrastructure and safety. How many people can we bring into the park in their vehicles and safely accommodate them? Social carrying capacity is a little bit harder to define. Social carrying capacity is how many people can you have in a park and still have the experience that you're trying to have at a park. Think of it as a beach trip. If you go to the beach on a regular weekend versus going to the beach on 4th of July, it's going to be two completely different experiences. So that's kind of what social carrying capacity is. But as we open up tomorrow, we have a whole new carrying capacity to consider. A carrying capacity that comes with guidelines from the CDC and South Carolina DHEC. When we're talking about carrying capacities now, we need to ensure that our visitors and our staff can not only maintain social distances, but not get into groups of 3 or more. So we've done some things that hopefully will help to accommodate that. We're posting our carrying capacity for day-use vehicles on our site. It will tell you how many vehicles we're going to allow into a park on that given day. Once that capacity is reached, the park will shut. It may be several hours before it opens again, or it may not open again on that day. So if you get to a park and it's closed, you may need to come back on another day. When you're in the park, you'll see lots of signs like this that discuss our social carrying capacity rules. We encourage you to keep 6 feet away from all other visitors, as well as from our staff when you're there. And we ask that everybody work hard to comply with this. So once we've set these carrying capacities and people start to arrive, the next thing that's going to be a little bit different is our admissions. If you've gone to a park, you'll see that our admissions booth are going to be a little bit different when you approach them. We've put up some physical barriers to give you some space between you and our staff. We're also asking you again, if you're a passport holder, not a passport holder, to go online to pay your admission. Tomorrow morning, live online, you'll be able to go and pick a park and pay your admission. When you get to a park, if you haven't, you may be handed a piece of paper that looks something like this. It has a QR code on it. If you take any smartphone, turn on your camera, and point it at the QR code, our web store will pop up on your phone, and you can go right to the park that you're at and pay your admission. So the park booth may give you that and may ask you to please go inside the park, scan it, and pay your admission once you're there. Things are going to be different than the other 47 parks at 2 of our parks in particular. At Edisto Beach State Park tomorrow, we will not be opening up our day use area. We're working in conjunction with the town, who has their beaches closed, to make decisions as to when we'll open up our day use facilities to our visitors. The other park that's going to be different is Jones Gap State Park. Jones Gap State Park has historically faced carrying capacity issues, as many of you who love the park know. Every weekend they're used to filling up their parking spots. So now, in order to control carrying capacities and also to prevent lines from queuing up and causing staff to have to interact with these lines, we're doing a reserved parking at Jones Gap on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You'll be able to go to the South Carolina State Parks website, to the Jones Gap page, and make a reservation for one of the parking spots available. There's going to be a limited amount of parking spots, and once they're gone, the gates at Jones Gap will be closed until 2 o'clock on the weekends. During the rest of the week, they'll remain first come, first serve, but on the weekends, in order to prevent people from queuing up outside the gate, we're going to do those parking spots. The other thing that's happening tomorrow, and we're pretty excited about, is we're going to, for the first time, welcome back some of our overnight guests. So people love to come to parks and camp. They love to visit the villas like the one we're in here today, our camper cabins, and our other overnight accommodations. And we've missed having you there for sure. So if you have a reservation in the month of May, I'd encourage you to check your email. We sent you an email with some specific instructions about how to arrive at a park and what to do. We will start taking new reservations, or taking new reservations now starting May 11th for some of our accommodations. As we get used to new cleaning practices and get our staff back on board, we'll be opening up more of those reservations, and we hope by the end of the month to have all of our overnight accommodations available for rent. The next thing I want to talk about is some of our indoor facilities. So our visitor centers, our piers, our stores, and our nature centers. We will not be opening them up tomorrow. We are preparing to open those facilities up by doing some physical distancing structures. We're putting up some plexiglass guards in front of our registers and things like that, as well as putting some marks on floors to encourage people and show them what the physical distance they should keep is. We're also looking at the capacities for each of those facilities. So if you arrive tomorrow, there will be a phone number posted on our visitor centers, so if you need staff, you can get in touch with staff. However, if you, do I need to speak up?
No.
Okay. If you need, our stores and our visitor centers will work on opening May 11th through May 15th. We hope to get all of them open. The operations will be a little bit different. There'll be fewer people allowed in them. Our staff will all be wearing masks, and we'll encourage all of our visitors coming into facilities to wear masks as well. So look for more information as we get closer to that date as how we're going to open those facilities. Finally, the last thing that's going to return to normal in our parks is group gatherings. Right now, based on the CDC guidelines and DHEC, we're not allowing any groups to gather on our park, which means, unfortunately, we have canceled all of our shelter reservations, community buildings, wedding venues, and places where large groups gather. It also means we're not going to be able to put on the quality programs or the great historic home tours or state house tours that we're known for. We are looking forward to engaging with you more on social media and doing some of the Facebook Lives to allow you to still access some of those great programs. And finally, tomorrow, our playgrounds will also be closed. These are places people love to congregate and go, and we're trying to prevent those crowds from gathering. And they're also incredibly difficult to get cleaned on a regular basis and to ensure that every visitor is kept safe. So these are some of the measures that we're going to have in place when you arrive tomorrow. We hope as you arrive, you'll notice them and take advantage of maintaining your social distance and spending some time outdoors. But again, I encourage you to remember that if you're sick, please don't come to the park. Please stay home. To come prepared, bring some of your hand sanitizers, water bottles, face coverings for you to use while you're there. Visit a park that is close by to you and maintain your social distancing when you come. I am going to open it up to questions. I've got my producer in my ear, who, if anyone has had any questions, she's been trying to compile them and will give me a chance to answer some of them now. We had a question about restroom facilities. Will restroom facilities be open? Restroom facilities will be open. We have some standard operating procedures that we've shared with our staff on cleaning, and that's one of the reasons that we're slowly implementing and putting some of these carrying capacities on, because there'll be more thorough cleaning procedures, including personal protective equipment and potentially closing down restrooms when we clean. So you may need to find another restroom if we've got it closed for cleaning. So we've had a question about our Ultimate Outsider Goose Chase activities, and will the deadline for that be extended? Something we hadn't considered until this question has been asked. So it's something we'll look into. It's for those of you who aren't an Ultimate Outsider, we have a program where you visit all 47 parks, you become an Ultimate Outsider, and we have a little competition every year. The Goose Chase app this year is an online challenge that they've accepted, but we'll look into extending that another month as the parks are closed, which probably leads to a question about passports, and a lot of people have had questions about park passports. If you have a passport, we will be extending it for a month as well. An excellent question about the online admission. So if you go online and you pay your admission, it does not guarantee you access to the park. So if you pay your admissions online and you get to Dreher Island, where we're at today, for example, and you have your receipt that you paid your admissions online and the park is closed, you can email right back to the email you got, giving you your confirmation that you were not allowed to use your admissions on that day, and we will automatically refund you. So the question is, if we have adjoining campsites reserved, will there be a problem with us gathering? If you're coming into our campgrounds and renting, we're going to continue to post the signs and encourage you to maintain social distancing. Much like the crowd gathering sizes, we're going to ask you to follow CDC and DHEC regulations on that. So campers who have reservations, the gates will be open the regular times that they are, and the question is how are campers going to get into our parks, I'm sorry. So campers who have a reservation and arrive during regular hours will be able to go right to their site, and there's information in that email we sent, but we also have gate combinations and codes that we give to our campers to access our parks. The question is, are we skipping sites or blocking off sites for social distancing? We are not yet. Most of our sites are more than 6 feet apart, so we did not block off sites, and we had existing reservations on the book, so we are not blocking off every other site. Jones Gap is right now the one where you can reserve guaranteed entrance. We have for over a year had some parking spots available at Devil's Fork as well, and we'll continue to have some parking spots available for reservation at Devil's Fork as well. If your pass expired today, even because we don't have visitor centers open, you are welcome to use your pass for the next month, and none of our staff will have any problems waving you through the gate with an expired pass for the next couple of weeks. And when our visitor center opens, if you want to go in and get a pass stamped for an extra month, you can do that. Is there any way you can support parks without visiting? Well, we encourage you to engage in on our social media platforms and watch some of these videos and share them. Certainly promoting them that way is a great way to do it. If you have a specific park that you go to regularly, most of our parks have an account for donations that goes specifically to projects and things on that park that you may be passionate about. So tomorrow when we open up, like I said, it's going to be a different world for us. Our park staff is excited to have you come back into the park, but they're also a little bit nervous. As we open up under this new world, we're still facing the virus, and these measures that we've put in place are meant to protect you and our staff. Remember that park ranger who's out there telling you to keep your distance, and that gate attendant that's out there collecting your revenue left a family in a lot of cases that morning who's worried about them coming to work and contracting this virus. And when they go home, they're worried about bringing it to their family. So as they say, we're not out of the woods yet. But if we work together as a team, we spread out when we're in parks, we can do this, and we can do this safely. So we thank you for working with us to follow these guidelines and to help us all enjoy parks safely. So again, we look forward to seeing you in parks. Keep safe, and we'll see you soon.